We are here, 4th of July. This movie, directed by Louis C.K. Uh, Good fucking movie. And we're just gonna go into it. What's your first impression? What stood out?
Before I answer that, I'm a little disappointed that you didn't go for the random route that Louis C.K. always does on his stand-up shows.
And what is that? What route is that?
It's just that how how you told me. So by the way, Michael is a huge Louis C.K. fan. He wished he was in the room that he had women trapped in when he was pleasuring himself. But
I
uh,
was in the room in the corner.
and I enjoyed every minute of it. But having said that, Louis C.K. has this unique style of starting his set with randomness. It's never really, the initial opening, like, oh, this is who I am, this is who we are, this is what we're going to do tonight. It's, Michael, you know this more than I do.
That's pretty standard in comedy, right? People just kind of go into it. Basically, yeah, he doesn't know how to start a show because it's whatever. It's random, just nonsense of jokes. But yeah,
There's not
no,
really a context, right? When he starts off, there's not really a context. It's just that we're in it already. Like, it's just that
yeah, you're going right into it. Kind of like this, right? Where we just go
exactly
into
not,
it.
we're already there now. So yeah, Michael, first takes on 4th of July, but you want to give a background on what kind of movie is 4th of July? Like this was a invite only, was it? Or is it like a limited time only?
this was like they had playing it in theaters for about a week, short release. And then as it sold out, they obviously added more weeks. So we were lucky enough to watch it the during the actually when it premiered in Canada, we watched it. We went to the premiere in Canada. And yeah, very limited release independent feature. You can buy it on his website. But this film was pretty refreshing, I would say. It was nice to see a film kind of give a unique a unique film that you don't usually find, and it's and yeah, I just what stood out to me with this film is how uh basically how authentic it was. You know, all the relationships, how they just meshed together, how fluid the writing was. You know, it was very relatable. Top touches on topics that are hard to discuss, that were hard that we don't usually like talking. And it's about our emotions, how we hide our emotions. We don't want to show emotion. We don't want. We tend to not want to uh, think anything is wrong with how we show emotion or But yeah, what was your first impression?
Yeah, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head there because the so for my first impression when I was at the theater, I think I was talking to Michael too. At that moment, in that moment in time, I gave it like a 6.5 out of 10 because I just saw the movie at the face value because the plot was this. It starts off with this and it ends with this, and it was a very straightforward, like a typical arts movie or art like an artsy movie or indie movie per se. It's it starts off with like a simple topic, and then you just kind of extrapolate and you go further in that topic, and then but it stays within that environment. It doesn't go anything. There's no other subplots or anything. It's a very one plot, and it just kind of expands on it and it just hits and it goes back to it. So it's a very like not a lot of use of locations and etc. So anyways, with that being said, um initially I took it as a face value. I'm like, oh, this movie's just this happens, okay, cool. But then I was thinking about the movie, and right, and I'm like, what was this about? Why was this there? Why was this scene there? Why was that? And that's when it really hit me that what the main movie was about. And then I'm like, oh my God, that was a great freaking movie. Because at the face value, it just seems like a simple project. But the movie hits deep. It actually talks about a really important topic, and part of it is emotions, but part of it also is family and maintaining your family relationships and how the effort and sacrifice required for your family. It's we all have our problems. We all are going through our own troubles, but when it comes to family, that's when we have to make the sacrifice, right? And it's just relationships require effort. It's not that nothing's perfect, but you find a way to make it perfect. And I think that was one of the main themes of the movie.
Yeah, and you're forced to go into situations that you aren't prepared for, right? The movie starts off, Joe, um, you see him going into therapy session. You're already initially seeing that he's showing some sort of self-assessing himself and wanting to do better, or else he wouldn't go to a therapy session. And the movie is about him trying to reconcile with his family, or trying to mend relationship issues with his family. So um yeah, the way that they come across to solving those problems, you know it was just like up and down, and there was so much conflict throughout the entire film that it kept you engaged constantly, with at the same time with being funny, all these jokes, and it kept you engaged all the time. There was great writing. All these actors are pretty much comics, I believe, right? All the actors used, I would
Yeah, and
say, the main cast is all comedians from Boston, and you wouldn't really know. Like, they were fucking fantastic. Uh,
yeah, yeah, I was gonna add to that, like how you said that, they're just there's a lot of jokes in there. Like, you have I would say a serious topic, but there's jokes in there. But in typical Louis C.K. style, that when me and Michael were talking about that too, because we went to a show earlier, a few days ago, and what makes Louis C.K. comedy so great is that a lot of times he doesn't dwell on his jokes. It doesn't that one joke and you keep expanding on it, you stay there, and there's so many more possibilities of what you can do with a joke he does, but he doesn't dwell on it. He does a joke and he moves on, and he keeps coming in with different topics and does it. It's just that he doesn't take a joke and kind of make it obviously like, oh, this is why it's funny. He'll do a joke. If you get it, great. If you don't, no worries. I got other jokes coming up. Just stay, just enjoy the ride. And I feel like in this movie too, there were jokes in there, but it wasn't like um, they weren't running jokes. You start off with a joke and it remains that same joke throughout the movie. It's just that joke over here, this scenario, this is the situation. You add a couple of jokes in there. New scenario, add a couple of jokes in there. So that
mhm.
was like for me as a typical like Louis C.K. stand-up writing and then transferred it into a movie. So
Yeah, it's a feel good movie. Not a typical feel day movie, but you still feel good at the end. The ending's a sweet ending. Uh,
do you want to
and
do we want
Yep.
to ruin the plot, or are we gonna respect Louis' wishes
Yeah, we don't
to
have to dwell too much about the ending, or whatever. I mean,
we're
go
not
ahead.
we're not ruining we haven't ruined the plot yet, but it's just that do you want to? This is your boy Louis CK.
No, we don't have to do too much spoiling, but you know,
Okay.
just because
I,
it's a very recent film, right? It's not a
that's
very
true.
new
That's
film.
true. And we don't want you to not watch it. We want you to watch it. We want you to support our favorite comic, Louis C.K. Go on his website and watch that movie. But yeah, and I think I know I sorry I cut you off first, but you were mentioning it's a feel good movie and everything. But I think that one of the key themes for me that stood out was that we often think that, we are the victims, our life sucks and everything, right? But we never make a chance to see what other people are going through or make an effort of like, why things are the way they are, or why do people do certain things. We don't know what they're doing, or why they're doing it, right? There's like a we kind of like to we're very self-centered, and I think that that was one of the things that you kind of learn is that although we think it's one problem that the focus of the movie is on one problem, but the problem was bigger than that, and the solution was found. So basically, your family is basically like, we don't know what they're going through and everything, but everyone is making an effort, right? And everyone has a different way of making an effort of making things right. But that was like the main theme of the movie, and the way they did it, that's the art in it. How they presented that message of, like, the sacrifice of family. That's, I think, is one of the key reason why this movie is so great.
Yeah, how relatable it was. I think
Absolutely.
the majority of people that the stuff that I've been reading online is majority of people are saying how relatable the movie is, how it touches them on a personal level, how layered every character was. Every character had so many layers to them, had so much, such a variety of characters in this film, but so relatable at the same time. And it was easy to connect with. It easily resonated with with uh, with with me, and that isn't always easy to connect so easily with the characters, right? Obviously, it has to be a great story. It has to be a great story, and it has to be told uh, in an interesting way.
And
So
and sorry, and you know what's so funny though? You mentioned the relatability. It's so funny that uh, even with Louis C.K. comedy, it's that how like a comedian will start off in a certain phase in life, then his life changes and his comedy changes with it because his environment has changed though. It's amazing and kind of refreshing to see that Louis C.K. has been doing comedy, and I know he's known for, like, kind of um, dark, pushy comedy that, you wouldn't it would easily get canceled in today's environment. But it's just that despite the surface level of this, crude comedy, there is a grounding, there's an understanding of reality, understanding of normal life and normal living and, normal problems. And I think that's
yeah,
expressed.
there was nothing in there that was, uh, there was nothing in there that was absolutely like ludicrous. Like all the stuff in the film was pretty authentic and real. It was real. Like
Yeah,
all the, it's not that it would be canceled. Like I don't know if I agree with that. What were you saying, that his stuff would get?
I'd say that on a surface level, on even Louis C.K.'s stand-up comedy, right? I'm just relating it back to that. On a surface level, he may say things which sound like, oh, it's so, why would anyone say that? We should cancel him. That's not funny. But the
Mm,
reality is that he relates it back to normal real life problems, normal people problems, or normal understandable problems, right? And even in the movie too, is just that relatability is that it's amazing that despite the success that Louis C.K. has, even his content to this day, like, so this movie, it it really does connect with normal people, everyday people. It's not, it hasn't kind of moved away from that, and it's amazing he's able to do it consistently to, relate it back to normal people, if that makes sense.
yeah, no, it does. It does. Um, yeah, just there's certain scenes in there that it does stick with you. The scene where he's just trying to explain. He goes. Joe's character, or Jeff's. Yeah, Joe's character, Jeff. He goes to his parents' Fourth of July party, and the first interaction with his parents, right? He's trying to bring it up. Um, he doesn't know how to bring it up, and he kind of just openly says it right off the bat because his parents are telling him, just go on, say it. What's wrong? And the way that their parent, or his mom in particular, just shows no emotion. It's hard for her to kind of show this emotion, kind of connect with him. It's it was a great scene showing the struggle of connecting with somebody, or with her son. And those little moments like that, right? Like you just it's like makes the movie all these intricate. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? And one thing I was gonna say is that, like you said though, and I think one of the key thing that it really does do is that, a lot of times a problem does not ever have a solution to it. You often have to live with a problem, and the key thing is that you accept that problem and it becomes part of you. And I think that there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there are some things that you'll never conquer, or there's some things you'll never be able to fix. But that's kind of part of what I was going for, like the family and the sacrifice, is that a lot of the problems that were there in the movie, a lot of them don't get resolved. Or even the main problem that doesn't really get resolved, but you learn to live with it and you make the best of it. And I
Yeah,
think
I
that
think
was
that's a very good point. Yeah.
because and I think that's reality of a lot of people. We all have problems in one way or another, but it's just that we just gotta live with it. It is what it is. You just, you can't run away from it. Have to accept it, face it, and live with it. And I think that's the reality for a lot of people, actually everybody in life.
Yeah, of course, people deal with the problems differently, right?
Hmm.
For other people, there is no problem. The problems don't even exist. What a problem of yours may not be a problem of mine. So, his problem of, not being close or not being, yeah, close with his family or, kind of not connected with his family emotionally, is a problem. And obviously to his parents, it's just normal. It's the way they raised them. It's probably the way they were raised. They don't see any issue in that. So you have someone who sees a situation as a problem, and same different people who see the same situation as nothing wrong. So creates a little imbalance and
Yeah.
some indifference, right? But it's
Um,
just it's just like you know Louis C.K. is obviously very observational, and
mhm.
he knows and understands human emotion, behavior, and why we do what we do. And he's just obviously naturally curious to kind of ask questions, always ask questions. Why is this like this? Why do we say this at this time? So I think that just that adds extra extra layers and is a reason why his movie was so good. I mean, I watched his last film, I Love You Daddy, which was in 2017. And then that was just before everything happened, so it didn't even wasn't even released in theaters. I watched it at TIFF, uh, but didn't have a theatrical release. But it was a good movie, and
Similar, like similar, like um, similar style, like simple problem expanded further, simple message.
not quite. Wasn't so structured. It was a little bit more spontaneous. Like he would have it going different directions, but and you really don't know where it's gonna take you.
Hmm.
But
So why was there an article written for disgraced comedian begs fans to buy his movie? Do you want to touch on that, Michael?
um, I yeah, I mean, what do you want to know?
Well,
That was a news article that pissed me off, but it was that was basically a I got an email, right? He emails some people to, hey, look, I made a movie. You can watch it or not. And then some fucking news article says, comedian Louis C.K. begs people
Disgraced
to watch
comedian
to watch this
begs.
film. But yeah, it doesn't matter, right? The fuck the media, it's fucking
And funny enough,
bullshit.
though, he did touch that on the Joe Rogan podcast too, was where he said that I don't care about the critics. I care about the people who are there on my show who are making the effort, right? So I'm sure he has an email list, which is Michael part of, and that's or these are people he knows care about him and his content. And he said, "Hey, if you like my content, I just made this one. Just go check it out if you like." Right? And
Mm.
yeah, yeah, like we were just talking, right? Or no, I'm just kidding, but it's just that yeah, it's just that it's funny that like this was how the movie was presented to the world, to us who are following Louis C.K.'s content and Michael who's on his email list and Michael, as you mentioned, you watch all his shows, all his movies, all the time. You watch Louis 5 times, right? um, It's
Mm-hmm.
just that it's funny though to the world. This particular movie, Fourth of July, was advertised on um, as like a movie that's being begged, like where he's begging you to watch it. But the reality is different. There are people who appreciate his work, and then we can comment on it saying that, hey, I did watch it, and I'm sure if you were to watch it, you would appreciate it too because the message is solid. It's like he does it really well, and this is a very well done, and I would recommend it to everybody to watch this movie if they get a chance to because it's a really good feel good movie, like Michael said. And I just wanted to bring it up because I know it pissed Michael off, and he told me he when he saw it, he told me right away. But this is
Yeah,
how it was
I
advertised
was.
to the world, to the external world. This is how it's advertised to the people who actually appreciate his content. You will not be disappointed, and you would actually appreciate his work way more because it talks about the values that are important to him, obviously, right? And this is important to all of us. So, yeah.
Yeah, the story is loosely based off Joe List's personal life, loosely. So there is a lot of that's another reason why it's so.
Oh, so he's a loser in real life too?
Yeah,
Nah, 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 joking.
he's pretty much, yeah.
Nah, nah.
He's yeah. He didn't actually play the piano as well.
Who's playing it?
I don't know.
The
Probably
the
some
guy,
guy.
the guy who played the banjo in Deliverance.
That could be. You never know, really, right? Um,
Is that
but
on the list? I'm sorry, I'm going off topic though. But whatever. We'll talk
no,
about that's another.
it's not on the list, but we can definitely do that next one for sure.
Uh,
Um, yeah, no, like, you know, when you have good writing, I think when you have good writing, good acting comes out.
yeah, and
And these actors are all comedians, but they put on performances that you wouldn't really know. You couldn't really tell. And
and
everyone did such a great job.
sorry to cut you off, but you did touch upon the fact that like they're all comics though, and yes, the acting was amazing and it was great. But that's another thing I learned that comedians transition really well into acting. It's because they are studying society from an outside view, and I know Louis C.K.'s comedies like that too. It's just that they grasp all these emotions really well because their job is to convey an emotion, right, or convey a message, or present like what they're feeling, and kind of portrayed on the screen so we can understand what they're going through these through their acting and their emotions. But comedians transition really well, you know like some of the best actors were once comedians and then transition, like the guy from Better Call Saul. I don't know what's his name, Bob.
Odenkirk.
Yeah. What's his name from Breaking Bad? Comedian transition really well. Jim Carrey. Uh, I'm just saying. There seems to be a pattern that comedians transition really well to acting, or if they're not already actors, they can do wide variety of acting because I feel like they're always observing society from an outside view, and they kind of have an understanding of how to convey a message and how to emit a certain emotion. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. No, I
Mm.
agree. I agree completely. And it's the attention to detail, right?
Yes, yes.
Because they always have to kind of be, asking questions and looking at things at various different ways, right? Never looking at it one dimensional, looking at it different ways and always trying to find different ways to approach different problems. Um, yeah, it's got a 7.4 rating on.
I don't agree with that. I'm gonna go
I
for
would I would
8.
probably I would give it an 8. I would say it's underrated.
I'll give for 8.5. I think I love it when it is a good message. I love it when there is a relatability, which Michael, you've already mentioned too, and simplicity, right? I don't want to see explosions and everything or flying monkeys with machine guns. Um, Shout out to Wizard of Oz. I want to see like relatability. I want to walk away with something. I want to like a good message that I can think back to and be like, yo, that was a good message. Um, yeah,
Uh,
that's to me 8.5.
8.5. That's a pretty steep rating.
I appreciated it. I appreciated someone taking a step to talk about an important topic that often is overlooked. Where it's important. I think that, I always look at movies as if like, what are you adding? How are you adding value to people's lives? You go to a movie, what are they walking away with, right? You can say on the surface level, could it be entertainment? Sure, that's obviously a good value for your money. But you want you're giving them you're sitting through a movie for like what, 2 hours max. If it's Bollywood, it's 3 hours and 15 days. But it's just that if you're like you're watching a movie, you're giving them your full like attention, your brain, your eyes, your ears. You're sitting there and you're absorbing information from movies, right? I think that there is something that you need to be able to walk away with that could really give you another perspective on life, or maybe even a reminder to important things, right? I think that movie to the audience leaves them with something very important, a very good life lesson, and more of a reminder, like, hey, where are you in your life? And what are you doing for your life, right? It's not more so like, you know, it's it's just like, you walk away with something really valuable. And I think that's what I really appreciate apart from the entertainment. So that's why I'm giving it a high
Hmm.
number.
No, I think so. I think, it's there. You watch it to be entertained, but maybe to learn something or find something that you can relate to. Um,
Something that will
and
stick with you, right?
right. Uh, and this film had a lot of things like that. Um, and it's yeah, it was nice to see something that doesn't have uh, a film that doesn't have restrictions or big network companies putting in their 2 cents because it was an independent film, right?
Yeah.
Completely financed by Louis C.K., completely made from scratch, and so he has all the say in it. And nowadays, you don't like you don't see too many films like that. These big corporations. It was a great independent film. It's one that I would recommend. You should definitely watch it.
Yeah, I would definitely say I don't think I can compliment it enough. I think I've said enough without having ruined the plot of it. That's gonna kind of give you an expedition of what to expect and what you're walking away with. But other than that, I really want you to experience the movie, right? I think part of the journey is to experience the plot from your own eyes, and I think that this is the best way Michael and I can talk about the movie while leaving the door open for you to experience and walk away with your own interpretation of what you picked up and your own valuation of the movie.